Hey everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we have this GMC Sierra and we're going to do the side chrome delete installation for this vehicle. So this vehicle already comes blacked out, but there are some GMC Sierras that the side chrome delete comes chrome. So I'm just going to show you guys how to go about the installation using the white vinyl. That way you guys get the idea of how to go about the installation, that way you could black out your chrome on your Sierra. So let's get started. These are the tools you need for the installation. So before doing the installation for the side chrome delete, you will need to prep each piece that you're going to be doing the installation. So for the side chrome delete, it includes the badge here, it comes chromed out. The mirror on the Sierras, on some Sierras, come chromed out as well. And also the entire side window is chrome. So when it comes to prepping each piece, you will just need your slip solution, which contains baby shampoo mixed with distilled water. If you have any hard chemicals like any grease, oils, or any coating, you can also use tack solution, which has 70% isopropyl alcohol mixed with distilled water. So it just depends how dirty or how contaminated your side panels are. If you need that extra cleaning, you could use it. But if it's not that dirty, then all you need is slip solution. So just spray it onto a clean microfiber towel, and you're just slowly going to work your way through each section. So make sure each piece that you're going to do the installation for is clean. So you'll clean this, the top section here, and the entire side panel. And once you're done with the prep, make sure that everything's dry. That way the adhesive on the film is able to tack down to the chrome. So for this section of the side chrome delete installation, it is a two-piece installation. So the piece I grab looks like this. It has a curve on this side and it goes straight on this end. So this one, you just have to make sure the chrome that you have, you align it on the edge of the curve. So align this curve to the curve of the inside here. So it should look like this. And then once you have it aligned here, you would just work your way to this end. So just remember, this is just a rough idea on how to go about it. If you have the chrome on your vehicle, so then you just slowly work your way, tacking everything down, helping it around the curve. And then this excess material, you can wrap it around here, and whatever's left over you could just trim off. It's always just important to make sure all the chrome is being covered. Okay, and then to help it around the curve here and to help it tack down around this curve too, apply a little bit of heat. You could use a heat gun or a hair dryer. Just use the lowest setting, apply heat to help it tack down, and you should be good. And also here. And once you've covered all the chrome, you would just remove all the excess material. Just take your time trimming off each piece. There is a small gap where you could insert your blade here. So you just insert and trim it off slowly. And then you just work around the edges and also trim off the material here. And if you have extra material on top, you would slowly trim that off. Right here, you can use your finger to draw an outline of where you would trim out the excess material. Enter your blade and just carefully pass the blade where we need to trim the material. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so for piece number 2, for the vent here, it would be the piece that was next to it, which is in the beginning, this one right here. So the shape of it is like this. So with this one, just align it where we left off on the edge here, and you could overlap the film just a little bit or meet it as close as possible. That way it looks flush. And just do the same, adjust it as you go until you reach it to this end. Alright, so if you're doing the installation for the side mirror and your mirror does have the chrome section here on the top, this installation is for you. So we're going to grab this first piece here for the side mirror. It looks like this. This one, you align it to this section of the side mirror. This installation will be a little difficult due to the curved design and also because the film doesn't really stick that well with this type of material, this plastic. So it's just, I'm showing you guys just a rough idea on how to go about it. If this was chrome, it would be a little bit more easier, but we're working with what we got. So with this one, you would just align it on this curve first, and always make sure just all of the chrome is being covered, and you adjust it as you go. So I would use this bottom half or this cutout as a guide to align the rest of the film. And then if you need to lift to adjust, you can always do so. It is a little tricky because of the curved design, so it's just taking your time doing this part. The film will be lifting like this, but we're just going to have to take our time and applying heat and just helping it sit around the curve. So now the next step would be to holding the film, grabbing your heat device and applying heat. That will slowly help it tack down around the curve. Because this material reacts different with heat, it feels more delicate, but with the gloss black material, it will feel more better. So just apply heat and help it tack down slowly. So just make sure, take your time applying heat each section and just helping it tack down and removing the fingers. So just hold film and help it tack down around the curve. So you get the idea of how to go about this installation here. Once you're done, you would just trim off the excess material around the surrounding area. You can create an outline with your finger, that way you know exactly where you need to trim off the material. This part here around the curve, trim as well, since you won't need it. That's pretty much it. And then once you finish trimming, you would move on with the next piece. So for the next piece that covers the side mirror, piece number 2, looks like this right here. This one will cover this top section here. So when you have your piece, we're going to use this top section here as a guide to align the film, and make sure you give yourself material to cover a little bit of edge here. So it's important, just try to match it to the curve here, and then work your way down slowly, and it should reach here. And once you have it right here, you would lift it, grab your squeegee, and start tacking it down slowly. You will make sure you're holding the film and just lightly pulling it. That way we help remove the fingers, and just squeegee at an angle. That way you don't crease the film. Once you get more closer to the curve here, you will need to apply a little bit of heat just to help it form, because if we just leave it like that, the film is going to have a hard time forming to the curve. So we need to make sure we apply heat. So grab your heat device, hold the film, and apply heat. This will help loosen the film. Make sure you're holding it, and with your squeegee just help it tack down. Just take your time doing this step, and once we get around here, we should be fine. It's just more for precaution, just making sure everything stays covered. And do the same on this side here. since this is a different type of film, like I mentioned earlier, it reacts different with heat, but with the gloss black one it will react different. So just make sure you're covering everything here, and then since we're already covering the majority of this will get trimmed off. So just grab your blade, slowly just pass it. You don't need to apply too much pressure, just follow the design depending on how you did the installation, and you just lift carefully and tear, and you just do it across. So that'll be the piece number 2, at least for the side mirror. And now we will focus on the smaller ones that we need to cover, which is this one here and the small one that's on this side here, right here. The next one, at least for piece number 3 for the side mirror, is this little small one here. This curve is for the coverage on this side here, so just make sure you align it to where you need to cover, and that's pretty much it. And then the extra material that we have on the bottom we will trim off. I recommend starting from the top, since this is where we left off, that we have full coverage, and you'll just apply heat to seal everything and remove the fingers. So the last piece looks like this one for the side mirror. So this one is just big, just to make sure in case we trimmed off a little bit too much, it does full coverage. So depending on how you trimmed it on this side, you just align it where you left off, and also align it to this side here. So since we left off here, this is where we would start, and we would just slowly work our way down, and then apply heat to help the adhesive activate faster and to seal the edges. And then we could trim off the material we don't need. So once you finish installing the side mirror, we could start with the side windows. So the side window, start with piece number 1. That is this curve right here. So it looks like a U shape or a C shape, depending on how you have it, but it's just a small little curve. And this curve goes for this section here. And the reason why it's small and it's cut out is because there's a small cutout on both the top and the bottom here. So with this one, just start off from the top end here, right where the cutout is located, and use the bottom half as a guide to align the rest of the film. And as you're aligning the film, make sure everything's being covered on the chrome that you're working on. Follow the curve and take your time slowly to adjust as needed. And right here is the other cutout right here, and you would trim off the extra material, but we just need to make sure everything stays tacked down first. Okay, and just to help tack down and secure it around the curve and basically everywhere else, apply a little bit of heat to seal the edges, and then we'll trim out the extra material. So when it comes to seeing how much material you need to trim off, create an outline with your finger, so where the chrome ends, or in this case where the panel ends, this is where we would trim off the extra material. Because there is a rubber gasket on top, there's only a certain amount that needs to be covered. So once you created your outline, grab your blade, insert it slowly, carefully within the gap here, and slowly trim it off, all the material that we don't need. And you just do this across the entire section here. Take your time and remove whatever you don't need. And you just do this all around, especially on the bottom section here. Whatever you don't need, you'll just trim off. And also make sure to apply heat on the curve, that way the film stays tacked down around the curve and it doesn't lift over time. And since we aligned it on the top here, we will remove the excess material on this end. So this is where the panel ends and it has the cutout. So you just enter your blade and carefully trim it off slowly. And that will be the installation process for this section here. And now we move on to the next piece. Okay, so for piece number 2 for the side window, the next piece is this one here. So to start with the installation, just start where you left off with the cutout here. So align it right at the cutout. And with this one, use the bottom half as a guide to align the rest of the film. So just make sure you're aligning it right where the gasket is ending. Something you can do if you don't want to trim off the excess material is just move the gasket just a little bit to the side. That way you're able to tuck in the film. So you can do that as well in case you don't want to trim off the excess material. But make sure you have material on the top section too. That way you cover the entire panel. Okay, and like I mentioned with this one, you could wrap and cover the chrome underneath the film. You just need to move the rubber gasket. Make sure your window's down also, that way you're able to access this section here. And then to just help it tack down and stay sealed, you're going to need to apply heat. That way the film stays tacked down. But before you apply heat, it's important to remove any air bubbles that are underneath the panel. So just grab your squeegee, start tacking everything, remove all of the air, and squeegee the top as well. Okay, and then apply heat to seal the bottom. Okay, and if you have excess material on the top here, you will go ahead and just trim it off. Just take your time creating an outline, that way you know exactly where to trim out the excess material. And then just trim it off from here. Work your way slowly. You don't need to apply too much pressure on the blade. To reach it to the edge here, and then trim off the material on the edge. And that's pretty much it. Easy installation for this one, and the same steps we kind of did with this one, you repeat it for this one. Okay, so for the piece number 3 for the side window, like I mentioned, start off where the cutout is located. So I'll show you guys right now. Once you align it here, you work your way to the other end, and the piece that you're grabbing is the thicker piece. You'll see it when you have the kit. You'll see it straight like this, and it's a bigger piece. That way it has coverage here. The thinner pieces are for the top section, and the thicker pieces are for the bottom. So this is piece number 3. So with this one, just start right here on the cutout, place the film down, and you just start from here. You can overlap it just a little bit, but I recommend just starting right on the edge, and just use the lower half or the bottom half. For this part, the lower half as a guide to align the rest of the film. So all I'm using is the bottom half. This part is rubber, so that doesn't get covered when you have the chrome. And then once you've tacked it down, these pieces here are already scratched up. The film is going to show it, so it's not bubbles, it's just already scratched. So place the film down, grab your squeegee, start tagging down everything, remove all the air bubbles, and then once we remove all the air bubbles, apply heat to seal everything, and then we'll trim out the excess material. And then to trim off the excess material, you need to trim it off where the chrome ends and the plastic trim or rubber starts. So it's right here in this middle section here. So just place the film, create an outline with your finger, and this is where we will trim off the excess material. Since this is all rubber here, we don't need to cover that. We only need to cover the chrome. Once you've created your outline, go ahead and grab your blade and start slowly trimming off the excess material that we don't need. And if you happen to have excess material on the bottom, you trim it off like this. And just slowly remove it and you should be good. That's only if you have excess material on the bottom. Okay, and the same steps that were done here and here, you repeat it for the back end, for the top and the bottom piece. There is a cutout here and here, so that's where you would start with the installation for this one and this one. Start here, here, work your way out, and just do the same process as we did here and as we did here. So for the last piece of the installation for the side window, it's this piece here. This one, you would just have to make sure you align it to the curves, and making sure that the film covers the entire panel. For the chrome panel, make sure that this curve is being covered with the film. So that would be first priority, just making sure when you align it, the entire chrome is covered on the inside here. And once this inside piece is good to go, then you will work your way out. So this is the inside curve here that needs to be covered on if you have the chrome. All this is covered, this doesn't get covered. It's just this curve here. And then, like I mentioned, just grab your squeegee, tack it down at an angle, and we just need to make sure we help it tack down to cover everything here. There is a bump here. You're just going to slowly have to work your way to help it tack down, avoid any bubbles, and also creasing the film. So around this curve here is where we will need to be careful. Apply heat to loosen the film and then tack it down. So same process as how we did it for the side mirror. Just hold the film, apply heat, let the film cool down just a little bit, and then slowly work your way. Take your time doing this process, that way you don't crease the film. It is going to be a little tedious around the curve here. And that's pretty much it. And then from here you would just make sure that the entire chrome is being covered on your vehicle, and then any excess material that you may have, you would just go ahead and trim it off after you apply heat. So wherever you have that excess material, you just grab your blade and trim it off slowly. Just inspect where you need to trim it off. If you have some here, you would trim it off here as well. Just carefully trim off the material. And that's pretty much it. And once we're done trimming, the last thing to do is to post heat. So the last thing to do once you finish with the entire installation for the side chrome delete installation for the GMC Sierra is to post heat everything. So you will need your heat device, a heat gun or a hairdryer will do fine. Use the lowest setting in your device, and then just apply heat throughout each piece that was installed. Focus on each area, especially on the curves or anywhere else where we trimmed off the excess material, just so we can help the film sit and it doesn't lift over time. So apply heat all around, and then once you're done with this process, you're done with the installation. So that concludes the installation video for the entire side chrome delete installation for the GMC Sierra. We hope that this video helped you guys out with the installation and just giving you guys an idea of how to go about the installation in case your vehicle does come with the chrome on the side. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming installation videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.